difficult question. It's like because it has to do with kind of who you are. Like it refers a lot to like the core of the identity as an artist. So I think I have enjoyed all my life drawing, especially drawing in the walls when I was a child, and doing a lot of drawing on the margin of pages and these things. I did not think about myself as a professional artist until much later, when I already had completed a degree in business at the Universidad San Francisco de Quito in Ecuador, and then traveling. After I graduated, I think there was a. After I graduated and I started working in the field of business, I realized that that was not something that I was made or called for. So I did some years of traveling and some years of just kind of exploring the world until I met a sculptor that introduced me to coal casting for mold making, and I made my first sculpture when I was living in France in the area of the Alps, the French-Swiss Alps, where I met this sculptor that taught me how to do mold making. And since then I thought like, oh my God, I was like so fascinated. I think with the process, with the materiality and the physicality of making a sculpture, that's just like a very physical activity. And then that transformations that happen with materials, that I thought, oh, maybe this is something that I can do more in depth. So I went back to school for a BFA at the University of Florida in Tallahassee. I completed my BFA there after 2 years of studio work. And then I found out about metal sculpture, and which I also loved it very much. And maybe it's still the same reason, like this very physical, a lot of energy, this direct work with the materials was kind of really attracted me. There also I learned about video editing, and I learned with other processes, paper making. So like the material-wise, I was like, wow, it's amazing. Everything could be made into art. And from there, during my graduate training, which I did at the University of Colorado in Boulder, I really explored like a the widest range of materials possible for art making. So there's the element of color has been really important and influential in my work, but also I think color has a huge cultural connotation, and the palettes and the colors that we like or dislike depends on where we grow up and what is the environment that we are surrounded. So I think color has these amazing layers that as we understand color more, and there's not one sensibility for color. And then we teach color theory, but is it Western color theory or is which color theory? You know, like because color is like I think it's defined by where you're at. Your environment defines your palette and what you like. Of course, that is changing really fast because we are living in this super globalized internet world that, and then we're living in a more and more synthetic environments like buildings and cities and this. So the palettes are changing quite a bit. So I think colors are also, and understanding for color is also changing a lot. For specific themes, I had worked with a water project for some years. I created organic filters to purify rainwater, which they were installed in a gallery, and they actually work. I did the testing. I created something that uses rain to have water that was drinkable, questioning not only questioning the use of resources. The filters were made inside drinking little water bottles. So questioning why do we have to have drinking water when we can actually, very easily have clean water, especially in a first world country with everybody, we should not be drinking bottled water. So there's this, I'm really interested in these connections with the environment and how we interact with the environment through laws, through cultural practices. There's like all these different dimensions on how we interact with the environment and how, in a way, the environment shapes us and how we shape the environment. I do not talk directly about nature, because I feel like the idea of nature is it's a concept that is in transition, and we do not understand nature as we did 100 years ago. So nature is becoming also something that is being redefined today. This was the first time for me screen printing. I was like really excited about coming here to Coronado Studio to do the series project because when I make the original drawing of this, I just made a little drawing in my sketchbook, and then that's it. I don't, most of the time I don't show drawing as my medium. So I was like, it's a very humble little drawing in a sketchbook. And then I saw the announcement for the calls, and I thought, oh, it would be nice, and it's just gonna give it a try. So I had reworked that drawing as a mixed media, kind of as a mixed media object kind of thing, where I had sandwiched the drawing between transparencies and used layers of acrylic and glue and whatever to create kind of watermarks, and the face was the face of the print was kind of sandwiched in between. So that's what I submitted for the series project, and I was so amazingly surprised and happy and joyful. I was like, oh my god, I want to get to print these. It was so exciting. The printing process is quite interesting, and I think it took me a while to understand exactly how color work and what is the process on how the image get developed through the layers of color that they have to be applied onto the paper. So Logan explained to me about value and how value works within the layers and whatnot. So it was a great learning experience. I was thinking, oh, maybe this is like a sculpture. So I'm thinking about space, each layer, and I told him, I said, oh, this is about a geological formation where it's like one layer and there's another layer and there's another layer. So I guess my understanding or my appreciation or how I see images shifted somehow in a very interesting way. So yeah, I'm very excited about that, about the process, and yeah, it's still like I feel like somehow like my very little humble drawing now, it has like this new life, and it's like an addition. So it feels it feels kind of interesting. So I'm going to tell about the idea of the piece. So in a way, it's a little bit about dream and an awakening stage. But I think what happened in dream and awakening stage is that moment when that we are not, because it's not 100% conscious, but it's not completely unconscious. Maybe there's something that operates there that allows for some interesting interpretation of things. So the head, I'm thinking about, it's kind of a little bit of a self-portrait, the head, but not, it has features that might look like a little bit like me, and maybe because I want to talk from my experience of my human experience, not necessarily like everybody, but like my own experience. So the head is kind of out in the clouds, and I think the environment and the face are in a competition of taking the forefront of the pictorial plane somehow. I think there's a lot. I think the image is quite violent in a way, and when I think about violence, I'm not thinking about something that is extremely negative, but I'm thinking about a flow of intensities, a flows of energy, that the moment that they get captured or represented like here, something can happen. So they will allow for maybe some additional interpretation. So I'm thinking about they're both. They're mythical, historical images, but at the same time they're surreal, imaginary. So I kind of want to overlay those two, and those belong to the category of culture, of human. It's not natural, it is completely fabricated, they're conventions. And then the clouds, the environment, the foliage, it's also that there's also kind of a little reference to a halo or a soul, and that also touches on this part of like the connection or the in-between that might be the spiritual connection that we might have, and that may be the possibility of this sacred space of Tao Te Ching, if that would be the place where we can meet with nature and humans, we can meet in that sacred space to really make transformation. That could be interesting for me to speculate at least. And then, this is, that there's like that energy going through her face. They're kind of animals or mythical figures. You could just take different readings. And I don't want to I think there's a lot of signs that can be, they're symbolic, So I think the viewer will be able to kind of create their own interpretation, which I think that is kind of what I would like. I just want to give you this and think about, okay, I give you some hints, like go from there, like what are these, where would they take you?